You're writing a character who lives in a house, probably, maybe, I don't know. But some stuff happened outside of the house that is bad, and no one's doing anything about it. So now your character has been called to go on a sort of trek, a mosey about the world to do good, to do the good for the world. If you smell what I'm stepping in, attack on table. Ryan, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the hero's journey, Sean.
For those who didn't pick up what I was putting down.
I smelt it.
For those who didn't step in what Sean was putting out there. We're talking about the hero's journey. For those that don't know. Jesus.
You're wasting time.
I'm not trying.
We're paying for these minutes.
Okay. Reset. We're talking about the hero's journey. And we're having a hell of a time doing it. For those that don't know,
it's a journey.
It is a journey with steps. Steps are taken. That's what journeys are made of. There are 12 of them. I'm going to break them down just so we kind of understand what the steps are. The initial one is the ordinary world. It's basically setting a baseline, the call, the thing that sets your character into motion, potential refusal of the call. No, I don't want to go. The meeting of a mentor, meeting your Gandalf Yoda character. The first threshold, the tests, which can include allies or enemies. The innermost cave, the ordeal, which I'm guessing is some trials and tribulations. The reward for conquering said trials, the road back, because we went somewhere, we have to turn around and head back the way we went. The resurrection, I'm assuming something to do with Easter, and then finally the returning of the aforementioned elixir, which is basically bringing the reward you earned home. And there are a bunch of ways to mess this up. I dislike that people tend to forget certain key steps. You can. There's a lot of room in there because there's 12 steps. There's a lot of room to you don't have to hit each beat, but there are key points you do have to make sure you add to kind of set on the hero's journey. And if you're missing those, then things kind of start to fall apart. I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you guys have any love-hate for the hero's journey.
I mean, it is the most common storytelling journey that you can take your characters on. I think it's tried and true. I think that, as with most things, it's the execution. If you start playing with the formula, it can sort of disrupt the pacing that I guess your readers are expecting. I don't want to say that you have to use it, but it is a great way to get from A to B. And if you do the road back, B to A. So
if you do the road back,
I mean,
yeah, you don't need to finish.
We got here, guys, and
no, we get it.
You want to devote. What did it say when we were looking up the common advice or whatever? It's like save 50% for the way back. It's like that is a lot of. Then they lived happily ever after.
Yeah, they must have been reading Tolkien.
50 pages about a bush over here.
But so I mean, that was the thing.
Pages total, because if you have it the first way and then on the way back, it's the same bush description.
We're all set. That's the whole book.
From a different side.
Yeah. I want to read a book where there's just this whole big build up. They beat the bad guy, and then the dude's just like, "We did it." End of book.
You should have read the first draft of my book. That's how I did it. My mom's like, the ending was a little abrupt.
There's nothing wrong with that. I would say, I think a big problem that people tend to do when they're trying to craft the writer's journey is they make the mistake of like giving each step an equal portion of the book. And I think that like there's certain things that just don't require that much attention.
Mm-hmm.
And like the key points are kind of big and you need to put more focus on those. But there's other things that don't deserve equal amount of time.
Yeah.
And it can kind of slow down your story when you do that.
Well, if its natural flow is to be like a quick part of the book, half a chapter, something like that, like trying to make it be as long as the call itself, for example, if that was a multi-day thing, then yeah, it isn't 12 equal length steps. You shouldn't be, you should let it feel natural. The ego was the other thing that we saw that was like, yeah, I do agree that can be a problem where you have a main character who's going on a hero's journey, but instead of like doing what they need to be do for the betterment of the world, they're doing it because they're awesome. What did I say? The James Cameron thing from South Park. James Cameron does what James Cameron does because he's James Cameron. And that's bad motivation. And it's going to mess with the way that any of the steps that you take on the hero's journey feel to the reader, I feel like. If you probably keep them from latching onto the character.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic form of storytelling. I think, in essence, the whole purpose of the journey is to not just give us kind of a blueprint of a character arc, of character development, but it's meant to help you kind of aid in like, hey, how has this person affected the world that they're in? That's a big part of like what the second half is. A lot of people do mess up and like kind of forget the second half, the return. It is important to have some kind of full circle moment, some understanding of like, this person did a thing, but it wasn't just about them completing that. It's about how the world kind of required that of them and how them doing that thing changed the course of events moving forward. I don't know if there's much else we can kind of. I don't really hate that much about the hero's journey. Just some people kind of mess it up.
Yeah. Anything bother you, David?
Right.
I feel like first, I guess my first question I would like to ask both of you is: would you believe or would you consider a hero's journey always, something that's the hero needs to do for the world, or would you say it could be something that's contained more like his world? Does that make sense?
I would say the call can be for whatever.
Okay.
The thing that, whatever the scale is.
That's what I was curious. Yes.
Yeah. I think that however grandiose is just however you've put your story together. Yeah.
I think then that would be what I would say is make sure that whatever you're putting the stock into for being your call to arms, make sure it's worth the amount of effort and time you put into it. Make sure it matches the scale. Make sure your story elements match the scale.
Yeah, because I think in regards to like what I was saying about like it being important, like how this person has affected the world around them. The fact that we're just talking about maybe just their world, like how whatever they did affected their family, that's enough to kind of conclude that part. It doesn't have to be like the world as a whole.
Oh yeah.
I will say the common advice is pretty mundane. It's not anything extraordinary. I think for the most part, we'll probably all kind of agree with it. The first one is follow the steps.
Yep.
Yeah. I think it's a good blueprint I don't think every story needs every beat, every step. Like, I'm not sold on the fact that in order for a hero's journey, the quintessential hero's journey to conclude properly, that you need a mentor character. I think it's just an aspect that's pretty common in those kinds of stories, but I don't think you need it by any chance. And like, I think when I was talking with Sean when we were talking about this show in the write up, is like, I write an aspect where I'm actually doing a thing, but I'll go into that. Instead of providing a classic like mentor, two of my characters kind of look at other people in the group as mentors, because it's like, you've done a thing, you've survived a thing, I'm going to kind of lean on your expertise to get myself out of this thing or better understand this thing I'm in. And that's not necessarily like a mentor, that's just you kind of leaning on your friends, and that can kind of be the same thing.
Yeah, I would say you could probably take just the mantle of mentor, and depending on the situation that your characters are in, that can be passed. Just like if just working on a house versus working on a car and everything, you've got two friends who one's good at one, one's good at the other. You're not going to go to the house guy when your car is making a weird noise. So there doesn't have to be a single mentor character. I think would be the best way to expound on the whole, like, follow the steps. It's common for there to be a single mentor character. You can play with that narrative. I feel like there's been several stories where the mentor winds up being the villain, or even in the story I'm writing right now, the only character that you could really call a mentor exists to show them how to do something, but he is a big point of contention from the beginning and will be all the way to the end. I wouldn't call him, like, he starts off as an ally, but I don't feel like he stays that way for long, and it's tense while it is. I don't know. It's a complicated relationship, but it serves the purpose of giving not a training montage or anything like that, but providing some explanation to the world and how it works and everything. One of the things was like, be careful about mixing and moving the steps. You don't want to meet your mentor on the return, so you definitely be careful.
That would be an interesting conversation. I think I would love to see someone write that just as a thought experiment. Yeah, I think a good piece of advice I agree with is to like keep the ordinary world relatable, something that we mere mortals can like connect to and understand. Like, this is the baseline. Yeah. So when things do go crazy, you understand that it's gone crazy, not that it's just like a Tuesday.
Yeah. Well, David, his story being speculative fiction, kind of had a strange thing, because it's not an ordinary world. It's, what year did the first one take place in?
1888.
1888. Jack the Ripper's walking around in London, and but you honestly took a couple of chapters worth to kind of just gradually show what is different about the world, from like all of a what if Tesla went to Britain instead of dying in America, and if Britain started to utilize his technology and everything like that and whatnot. So you do, like, it did feel like an ordinary world. It still felt like London. It just also, like, it doesn't have to be, I think a better word than ordinary is relatable. A world people can kind of understand, or what Ryan, you said earlier, like a good baseline to show your readers, like, this is what normal is here. And I think that you should take some time to show that, so that everybody realizes, it's not always on fire.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also think establishing like clear wants and needs are probably just a good key piece of advice for just storytelling in general. It kind of branches away from the hero's journey, but I feel like just doing that in general is a good idea. But inside the hero's journey, I think it's an established requirement, just because like everything is going to kind of require some kind of answer. It's like, why is this character doing this? Well, it's because he wants this or requires this, and he feels compelled. I mean, that also kind of lends into the next piece, which is to make the call irresistible or unavoidable as taxes. I guess someone filed their taxes, John.
Irresistible and unavoidable.
Yeah, and so like you do want like the poll to be a logical thing where it's like, I understand why he feels or she feels compelled to move forward into this journey.
Yeah, and having that motivation is going to just honestly kind of cement your reader into the story and keep them going. There was the thing about following the circle technique, which I'm not super familiar with. So Ryan, do you want to explain?
Yeah, I mean, it's just basically just you're breaking it down in order to kind of like revolve it around a few times. Like you're just circling through. Like I said, when we were talking about this, I actually have like 3 characters. I'm doing 3 heroes' journeys simultaneously, and each one is like a different step. And in regards to like the mentorship, like one person gets like an actual mentor, and the other 2 are just kind of leaning on the other members of the group as mentors for whatever thing that they're dealing with. And it's it's like they're in different phases of their life, they're dealing with different problems, but it's all kind of like circling in like a Venn diagram of heroes' journeys of sorts. That's the way I kind of tackled it, because I didn't want to I wanted to have the classic story arc of the hero's journey, but I didn't want it to be just the the same old. So I just tried to think of a way to make it interesting, and I thought that worked well.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, it just feels like a fancy way to say character arcs. But that's just me.
Essentially, yeah, it is.
And
that's the end of the show.
David.
Yeah.
When you're writing your story or whatever, do you have your mind on the hero's journey, or does it just kind of come naturally to you? The general flow.
So, I mean, I think, as I mentioned with you before, as we've talked, and I feel like when you talk about hero's journey, you also have to like, touch base on every other aspect of your book. Everything's connected, obviously, and I just feel like I know where I'm going. I know what I need to do. Everything else kind of gets figured out as I go, and I want to keep the arc relatable. I want to keep the trials and tribulations relatable, regardless of how grandiose they are. I want to make you feel like you would be able to work through the same things, regardless of where it is, what it is, how it is. Because personally, I feel like that's the best part about reading a story, is just feeling like you're there. Or I feel like a lot of people imagine themselves as the main character. In my opinion, I mean, that's what I usually do. I think, I think it just adds to it, and I kind of let a lot of it, go. I just watch where my characters are going, and the main character, I add things here and there after the fact that I think I was missing. And the hero's arc, or the hero's journey, the story will form itself as long as you just kind of keep track of most of it. I mean, try not to be so focused on it, because I feel like if you're so focused on something in particular, you kind of lose track of the little details that add to it or that make the arc or story good.
Yeah, I'm in the same camp with you, that it feels like such a natural way to tell a story, and a natural way to of what to expect out of your story, and the outcomes can be different. Different characters, you can lose different characters throughout it, either saw it coming or by surprise. And I think that there's a lot of different ways to be unique in that sense. But I oftentimes when I think about the hero's journey, I struggle to think of a different way to tell a story. And I just feel like it's somebody put a name on something to be like how stories naturally get told.
I think I agree with that. I think it also lends itself to certain genres. Like, you don't really find a hero's journey in, you know, I guess, well, most
Romance.
like yeah. I mean, I don't really feel like you see that kind of thing in a romance, maybe in like a fantasy story, sci-fi, you know, even like um, crime fiction. Like a lot of stories that you can write lend itself to being, a hero's arc, a hero's journey, but not all genres can have it or should have it, probably.
I can agree with that. I also think I think a lot of genres don't really leave space for like that mentor aspect because it would
Yeah.
kind of confuddle it. I
Mhm.
did want to bring up like Sean, you do have a mentor character that pretty much persists throughout the entirety of your story in some fashion. It's Kane, Uncle Kane.
Well, Kane is that mentor, that figure that I was talking about earlier. He serves as the mentor for as long as he is able to, as long as the story allows him, or I should say his own motivations allow him to. Uh, Afterwards, it's a. No. He's
Okay.
basically adversarial. And I don't think I want that to be on the internet. He's contentious. I don't want
Take
to
that out.
give away the second and third book or anything at this point,
They
but
all die by fire. It's okay. That happens.
yeah, everybody dies by fire though. To go back to Uncle Kane and everything, he spends the time that he needs to be serving as the mentor. I do believe other characters are going to kind of come and go and very briefly fit that spot for my main characters, and it goes back to that thing. It's like depending in the scenario that David or Elda are in, there's going to be people who can help them better than Uncle Kane could or would. And that is just good how my story wound up flowing. And that's why I will at least die on the hill in fire. Of your mentor doesn't have to be an assigned character.
I,
No, go ahead.
to add to that, I was just thinking, I don't feel like most people have true mentors in general in most of their stories, because I feel like if you think about like the true aspects of mentor, is it's selfless, it's not doing something for your own needs, it's you're doing it selflessly. That's what a true mentor, I believe, is. So I don't really feel like there's too many classic mentors in most stories now. I mean, I feel like just randomly thinking like, when I haven't read the stories of or the books obviously, but I've seen the movies. From what I've like, obviously like Gandalf. Like, I mean, I feel like he would probably be considered maybe a true mentor, because he's just doing it to help people. He's not doing it because he wants to watch all the goblins burn. Well, I mean, he does, but
Gandalf was one of the he was one of the Astari and didn't want to be. He didn't
yeah,
think he was up for the job, and so when he was assured that he was, like, that told the Vala that he was the one for the job basically, and he wound up being the most out of all of the wizards that came over to Middle Earth. He wound up being the most accomplished, towards
so I feel
the
like
reason they were there.
true mentor ish, I would say,
Yeah,
comparative to most mentor characters I feel like I've seen nowadays. That
yeah.
would be what I would think.
I think that they're there, but I think that if you give them too much personal motivation, they wind up being like Uncle Kane. They can, or what is, I feel like, kind of becoming a trope is the mentor's the villain the whole time kind of thing. And
Yeah, yeah.
that, sure, that's a new thing and it's something to explore and whatnot, but then it's like a false mentor. Where's that fit in the hero's journey? It's in there somewhere. Trials and tribulations, probably.
I kind of disagree.
Okay.
I feel like the idea of a true mentor and like I agree with your concept of it is like they're doing it selflessly, like there's no personal motivation driving what they're mentoring. But I think it boils down to like what it is we're talking about as far as like mentorship. Um, I bring that up because I have a character that is effectively a mentor. He definitely has his own motivations. He's definitely doing some stuff that is highly questionable. But the things he's mentoring isn't to do with any of that stuff. Like he has those motivations, and that's effectively the purpose of a lot of driving factors. But like the things he's chiming in about, quoting quote unquote mentoring, are more like just like personal advice of like just hey, you see everything as like a hammer, or every problem is a nail and you're just a hammer. Like there's other ways to solve problems. In fact, if you calm down, you probably have a better chance of doing that. That's just coming from like a place of genuineness. It has nothing to do with like preparing him. That's just like I feel like compelled to help you be a better person because you're such a horrible person.
Quit being a dunce and do things better.
Yeah. And I think that kind of stuff still rings true regardless of like what your mentor's doing in the background.
Yeah.
Compartmentalizingly being a mentor.
Yeah.
Compartmentalized mentor.
Yep.
Yes, exactly.
On his off time.
Yeah.
I think we focused a lot more on mentors than we did the rest of the stuff, but I feel like
we can't make it all equal. We can't make it all equal.
That is a great point. Yeah. Ryan, why don't you talk a little bit about the Inkwell Society? We're running out of time here.
Yeah, we've got a community on Reddit. It's the Inkwell Society. It's a great way to stay in direct communication with the hosts here and possibly Sir Dr. Duncan Cackleworth, Esquire. We keep everything up to date up there. We're dropping all these different posts, trying to engage our audience, and we invite everyone down there, readers and writers alike. We're trying to create a forum that's open to everybody. Post your stuff, post your work, let us discuss it, all that stuff. We also, and there's like a little caveat community in there for the Teletales, so it's easier access to see what monthly Teletale is up, what ones have been in the past, give you something to write on if you're feeling itchy. I have no better way to describe it yet. I'm working on it.
There's probably a great value ointment for that.
Found only at the Inkwell Society.
It's there.
Next to the time travel kit. Great value time travel kit.
Right? Ryan will be your Huckleberry. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that. I hope everybody jumps over there if you have a Reddit account and everything. That it feels to us like that's going to be a great place to actually have a community like we've been going for from the get-go, where people can get involved. If you have opinions about the hero's journey, or even if you know of an alternative to the hero's journey, slap it down in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, notification bells, or semper.
Semper
scribe.
Sean, I got a quick question for you.
Okay.
How do we end these again?
Altruistically.